Hello everybody. I realized recently that I've never really told my how I came to Japan story. Many of you may know details, but not the whole story. So I'd like to tell you that now. So after I was in Peace Corps Morocco, I went back to Jackson and I was 25 years old. And I really wanted to be at home for a while and nest, be near my family and friends. I also wanted to start paying down some of my debt and get some professional work experience. So that's what I did. And one thing led to another, and one job led to another job, and then a better job, and then a better job. And things just started to get comfortable for me, and I was earning money and paying off my debt, which is what I wanted to do. But in the back of my mind, I always knew I wanted to move again, and I really wanted to move abroad again, or at least, that's what I thought then. I thought to myself that I didn't want to be that person who did one cool thing once. And so for a long time, I spent a lot of energy thinking I had to prove to others or myself that I could do something cool again. And, in my mid-20s, that's how I thought. So I did want to move abroad again, but I didn't know where, I didn't know how. So different things would kind of get dangled in front of my face every once in a while. I looked into teaching in China. I very, very vaguely looked into teaching in Japan. And nothing else more specific than that. But again, one thing kept leading to another, and I ended up in Jackson for 5 years. So, getting on to how I got stuck on Japan, I met a friend. Actually, she was a former coworker who had done the JET program, which is the program that I'm on. And she talked about it a lot. She had lived in Japan actually for 8 years and was home living in the US. So she really talked this program up to me, and that really got the wheels turning. That's what started the wheels turning about Japan for me. And I thought about this on and off, never seriously enough to actually apply. So, but about halfway through, or almost all the way through that time that I had in Jackson, I ended up meeting or coming back into contact with a guy that I had met previously, and we actually started a relationship of sorts, and he was living in Japan. So he was actually the catalyst that really got me excited about Japan, to actually possibly really move here, to possibly, continue our relationship. Because I'm sure, as you can imagine, moving to a new state, to a new city by yourself is hard. Moving to a new country by yourself is really hard. And I had done this before, so it's really difficult to just decide to pick up and leave. It takes a lot of gumption and a lot of courage, and it took me a long time to build that back up again. And so meeting this guy was really the pull and the catalyst that really solidified all this for me. So I did the application process for the JET program, and for those of you who don't know, JET stands for Japanese Exchange and Teaching, and I could go into more detail about that in another video. But it's of course a teaching program where you get placed in local schools as well as act as a cultural ambassador. And you make a full salary and you have housing, so it's just basically a life and a job in Japan. So that process was about 9 months long. It was a very rigorous application process, very particular, and I was well qualified. However, I was actually chosen as an alternate candidate, which means I was not chosen, I was waitlisted in a way. This was in, April or May of 2016, the same year I would actually move to Japan. And so I wasn't quite sure if this was going to happen. The only way I was going to get a position at that point was if enough people had dropped out or had declined their positions. So I was waitlisted, and I wasn't sure if it was going to happen. So I was kind of thinking slightly about my plan B's or plan C's, but if you know me at all, sometimes I really gun toward one thing and I don't have a plan B or C. So I really didn't in this case. So as luck would have it, I did get upgraded to an actual position. So by July of that year, I knew I was coming to Japan. I knew where I would be going, and everything was well in place for me. So the guy that I was in the relationship with, that relationship ended up ending. But of course, I still came to Japan because I was really far down that road, and I was, of course, not going to turn back now. So that's pretty much how I got here. And I never had really given Japan that much thought previous to, a handful of years ago. I always respected it and thought there was wonderful things about Japan. However, when this process kind of started for me, I got really interested, and I started to try and learn a little Japanese and learn the writing systems and make some Japanese friends and get interested in traditional Japanese things. So I got really excited about coming, and of course I have had a wonderful time here. So I'm so glad everything worked out for me, and this has been a very rewarding year. So I'm going back to Jackson again in just a bit here. And so you might ask, will I move again? Will I move abroad again? I want to believe anything is possible, and I do. And I have no plans, but anything is possible. So I'll leave you with that. So thank you very much for listening to my Japan story, and if you want to know more about JET or anything else that I mentioned, just let me know. I can make a video about what JET is or a blog post. So thanks again for listening, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.